Chris, you had this amazing career. I remember watching you on Def Jam, then watching you blow up from.
Chris, you had this astounding vocation. I watched you on Death Jam, then watching you explode for film to the entire thing, and afterward it was like poof, better believe it, whereas Chris, it's a ton parcel in my life. You know, of the manner in which I sort of steep back from Hollywood at one point, being the most generously compensated entertainer in Hollywood. I don't have the foggiest idea what he was going through inside. Sincerely, he could have truly burned out on the useness. There's perhaps a few layers in there that he had truly spoken about inside the business. I realize the business can be, you realize, everyone pulling at you, maintaining that you should do all sort of stuff coming down on you. Chris Exhaust was once the most generously compensated entertainer in Hollywood. As per Superstar total assets altogether, Chris procured no less than $50 million from his work in the busy time establishment alone, generally $65 million in the wake of adapting to expansion. And furthermore, Exhaust supposedly had a deep understanding of anybody. He realizes everyone. Like, I'm not in any event. Messing with you can raise a name. It doesn't make any difference in the event that it resembles Muhammad Ali, Paul McCartney, Jesus. And on one occasion, he evaporated from Hollywood, leaving individuals pondering, might it at any point be that he knew excessively a lot, and the people pulling the strings felt undermined by what he realized? Well, this has happened to such countless dark jokesters, for example. Feline Williams, yet not at all like Feline Exhaust, decided to totally leave the spotlight. Yet presently, it seems like Chris has at last spoken on the genuine motivation behind why he left Hollywood. So what precisely did he say? Well, of the manner in which I sort of stepped back from Hollywood at one point, being the most generously compensated entertainer in Hollywood. Yeah, I felt like realize it was a ceiling not too far off, and I needed more. It wasn't sufficient. T brought up in Atlanta close by 2 sisters and 3 siblings. Chris and his kin found bliss in engaging each other, denoting the time he found his enthusiasm for satire. In secondary school, he procured the title of generally clever and dug into facilitating ability shows and performing stand-up parody. At 19, he migrated from Atlanta to Los Angeles, setting out determined to kick off his parody profession. Presently, he got a sought-after spot on Hard of Hearing Parody Jam, where his dynamic quick shoot conveyance and irresistible enthusiasm immediately charmed crowds. His flexibility permitted him to progress, consistently showing up in music recordings for prestigious craftsmen. For example, Dr. Dre, D, Tupac, and Mace. The crucial second icking profession happened with the breakout job of Smokey in Friday. F. Gary Dim, the movie's chief, described to the New York Times how he endlessly supported for Chris over additional laid-out entertainers like Chris Rock and Tommy Davidson in spite of a tryout that was simple. Okay, Dim perceived Chris's unrivaled improvisational abilities and saw in him the star quality expected to reinvigorate the smoking-fixated character. He said Chris' tryout was okay. It wasn't perfect yet. His capacity to ad-lib was unparalleled. He saw something in Chris and accepted he had the star quality to rejuvenate the smoking-fixated character, and he was correct. Working with just a $3.5 million financial plan, they hurried through the recording and enveloped things with only 20 days following Friday's $199.95 delivery. Chris and his co-stars Ice 3D, shaped the late John Witherspoon minuscule lizard, and knee long assisted the movie with turning into a clique exemplary. The film got $28.5 million and sent off. Chris' vocation as a bona fide entertainer in Friday Exhaust depicted the person Smokey, a humorous and enthusiastic substance junkie, whose shenanigans had the crowd in lines. Got to get the day going right, man. This job was an obvious takeoff from his neat and tidy satire schedules, exhibiting Exhaust's great reach and flexibility as an entertainer. It was clear that he was something other than a tired old act, and the world paid heed anyway. It was the year 1997 that would be a defining moment in Exhaust's vocation. He had not one, not two, yet 3 hit films delivered around the same time. The world was seeing the brilliant ascent of a Hollywood sensation. Exhaust featured in The Fifth Component, an Activity Press science fiction spectacle that exhibited his capacity to convey a major financial plan blockbuster. He followed it up with cash talks and entertaining satire that had crowds moving in the walkways, and when we figured he was unable to get any better, Exhaust graph the screen in Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown, demonstrating that he had the slashes to stand his ground close by veteran entertainers in a wrongdoing show. At this point, Exhaust's profession had exploded, and he was in any event being gazed upward to by ebb and flow Hollywood elites like Jamie Foxx. As a matter of fact, Fox talked about an episode in which Exhaust got him shook. The characterizing crossroads that resonated through his profession happened when Chris Exhaust, a surprising competitor, quickly guaranteed the spotlight. Fox, celebrated for his uncommon flair and creative adaptability, wound up significantly vexed by this abrupt bit of destiny. During a genuine appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Fox thought about an urgent second when popularity momentarily expanded his self-image. Originating from his residency on Unfiltered and Fabulous, he authentically related his awe. When he originally experienced Exhaust in front of an audience, he expressed, "Who is that dramatic?" I said. And on the grounds that I just came up, "I'm Jamie Foxx. Who could that be? Interesting, you didn't mean." And I opened that entryway. It was a thin, minimal, dark buddy with a tank top on. It didn't fit. It was Chris Exhaust. And when I say he was residing them, and it shook me, and I realized that I was actually a major buzzkill. Interesting. Appreciate that the occurrence as described by Fox unfurled against the scenery of their common energy for satire. Exhaust, a rising star in the comedic domain, had proactively cut out a specialty for himself with his particular style and irresistible enthusiasm. In a second that displayed Exhaust's unashamed legitimacy, he figured out how to get Fox off you watchmen and shake the underpinnings of his confident disposition. The unforeseen experience filled in as a characterizing crossroads for Fox, provoking him to rethink the sensitive harmony among distinction and modesty. It turned into an unmistakable update that in the unusual scene of Hollywood, even the most praised craftsmen are powerless to snapshots of weakness. Exhaust's capacity to make a permanent imprint on Fox, a carefully prepared entertainer by his own doing, addresses the significant effect of veritable and unfiltered edibility. Regardless, Hollywood was all in stunningness of Exhaust's ability and film industry draw, and he was large and in charge. The offers were pouring in, and it appeared as though there was no halting this rising star, except for, much to our dismay, that underneath the surface Exhaust was starting to feel enclosed. You see, outcome in Hollywood frequently accompanies a cost. However much we like to accept that entertainers have command over their professions, truly, they are frequently helpless before strong makers, chiefs, and studios. For Exhaust, this implied being barraged with comparable jobs, the sort that played to his comedic assets yet neglected to investigate the full scope of his capacities. The tattle segments started humming with reports about Exhaust's refusal to acknowledge specific jobs he became particular, turning down worthwhile offers that didn't line up with his vision for an assorted and significant vocation. Some industry insiders marked him as fussy, while others considered it to be a resistance to being type-given a role. As the years went by, Exhaust non-attendance from the big screen just energized the tattle plant. Yes, he showed up facilitating grant shows and delivering a stand-up extraordinary on Netflix, yet it wasn't sufficient to suppress the murmurs. Fans contemplated whether he was arranging an excellent rebound, while pundits addressed in the event that he had lost his star power. In truth, Exhaust was playing a hazardous game in an industry infamous for being whimsical. Hollywood had a well-established history of pigeonholing dark craftsmen into cliché jobs, sustaining racial predispositions, and restricting open doors for valid portrayal. Maybe they couldn't see past the shade of his skin, denying him